What's up, everyone? Today, I'm going to be talking about motivation versus self-doubt and the seasons of life that we experience on our path. I've been gone a few days because I've been having some challenges myself, just starting new ideas and creative projects and continuing to find new ways to be inspired, what to share. From time to time, I can get a little overwhelmed with all the possibilities that life presents and all the ideas that come to me, and really filtering them out and knowing exactly which one to execute next that would be most beneficial for everyone or most efficient of my time and energy. Because as I've shared before, I don't necessarily like doing all this sort of stuff. It's one extra dimension to my life that I like to focus on other areas, usually creating, but this is another form of creation, and I'm doing my best to grow and expand and share. And I hope again that some of these words tonight will help some of you as well. Just with perspective and hopefully seeing things a little differently can help us move through some challenges. So one of the questions I'd like to ask you tonight is, what actually motivates you behind your art? For each of us, this is again a different experience. For myself, recently I lost quite a few family members, and I came to realize that a lot of the motivation behind my art was driven to share that excitement and that success with my family. And as the events unfolded, the challenges of grief became very evident in my life. And I believe for each of us, grief is a little bit different. And there is no exact formula for how we process through certain emotions and certain experiences, especially when it comes to matters so close to our heart. What I can share is that what I turned to was my art, and going through such a deep season of depression, of grief, the motivation to find the inspiration to come into the studio from time to time became very difficult. And I told myself, rather than come in with any expectations, maybe just come in and start and fiddle all the way back to square one, basically, like how when I started, not knowing anything, just turn on sounds and just play and explore and just see what comes of it. And if something comes of it, maybe record it, but not have the same work ethic that I had prior, where meeting deadlines, meeting schedules, things of that nature. And what I found was, again, that what we do here as artists, it's a direct relationship with a type of creative energy. And as I began to cultivate my space again, not just externally, but internally, it's as though I restoked that fire inside, and more energy started to come to me, more ideas started to come. And again, that's also what drove me to begin to share my experiences within life, within music, within my spirituality, within my health, wellness, things of that nature. And I hope these words can help some of you, again, find maybe some grace in some times that you're in right now, or maybe some times that may lie ahead that you're not aware of at the moment. But these words hopefully will ring true and plant some seeds to remember why your art is there. And what we do as artists, again, using these mediums to translate, transmute, and communicate not only to ourselves, but to the collective as whole. See, one of the lessons that's been very difficult for myself over the years is recognizing, and this principle shows up in many Eastern traditions, it's the reminder that everything you're setting up in your life right now, all the ideas, all the relationships you would like to have, all of the work experiences or ambitions and goals within your art, they're all being created from a place of feeling that at the end of that experience, we will have some type of internal feeling, sensation. And a lot of what I've experienced in my life, working with others on very high levels, is that maturity to recognize that excitement from time to time can blind us, and we can not necessarily see exactly the best steps forward when we get very excited. So it's always best to stay grounded. And when we go through challenges and difficult times, it can really help us clarify exactly what it is that we want in our life. When things don't necessarily go the way we thought they would go, sometimes when things go too easy, again, you can miss certain other opportunities that would actually blossom into even bigger opportunities. So when you begin to recognize that everything you're creating within your life right now is the search for the result of a feeling, you can begin to, in some way, shape, or form, relax a little bit and cultivate that feeling now, so that when those experiences come, that high excitement, that peak, doesn't have any sort of a drop, so to speak. And so you can have a little bit more of an equilibrium and stay grounded, a little more clear, especially if any challenges may come ahead, like I said. Now, not just what motivation is, but what's also driving that motivation. This is a type of energy that I'm speaking about. As we clarify these things that I'm sharing from time to time, again, each one of these aspects of our perspective of ourself, how we're interacting with the world, begins to clarify and focus exactly who we are in our authenticity and how we show up. The more clear and authentic we are, I have noticed the more successful we become on all avenues of life, whether it's interpersonal, whether it's career, whether it's with our self, source, however we have our relationships. So when we find that drive and then we hit little hiccups or little hurdles, not all of us, but some of us will have elements of self-doubt. And self-doubt can be very challenging, and those of us that experience this type of experience, we have to understand that there are other individuals in the world that absolutely do not ever experience this emotion. They're not hypercritical of themselves, they're not judgmental. They're able to accept their flaws and move through experiences a lot quicker and a lot more fluid than others of us that maybe grew up with certain types of individuals in our life that created certain patterns. And again, I believe for each of us as artists, all of these patterns, these kinks and these knots, these difficulties, they're actually very powerful because, again, it's been shared with me that what we're doing here is we're creating a type of map. And that's not even the right word, but that's the closest word we have to translate spiritually, energetically, what we're doing on a conscious level. Those of you that are dealing with heavier emotions, heavier traumas, heavier fears, phobias, it's been shared with me again in many circles that within magic, within art, we can transmute and translate these energies that are dense, very sticky, challenging, and by communicating them and releasing them into the medium, the divine mirror, the muse of art, the music that we create, whatever it is for you. Through that, we can begin to resolve and find resolution with our fears, our worries, and our phobias. Because a lot of times we'll recognize as we begin to grow and mature, many times we pick things up from others just through a simple phrase or a sentence, or maybe getting too close to someone that isn't necessarily mentally stable, even if you maybe had more difficult challenges like myself, where it's someone like a parent that just has very difficult struggles, so to speak, and you're having to navigate that through your youth and then mature into recognizing that what you thought was completely normal is not normal at all. As you begin to grow, the last topic that we're talking about here today is the seasons of our life. There will be seasons in which you're completely on fire, completely lit up, sparked. Everything's effortless. There may come seasons where it's really hard to find that fire, that spark inside. And what I'd like to share with you is to recognize that. And rather than fight it, like I've done in the past, is to recognize the momentum of the life force energy and to really trust that intuitive process of when you're on fire, just keep creating, keep sharing, keep creating, keep sharing. But if that fire dims a little or something happens in your life, I want you to know it's not going away. However, what I've personally learned to do recently is to pivot. And so rather than trying to go against the grain, when life brought some heavier transitions into my life, letting go a little bit here and focusing over here. So letting go of trying to necessarily create and finish projects and songs, but learn more like about an instrument, or maybe do some video work or some other creative art form like painting or gardening. And through those other mediums and those other forms, we pick up, again, wisdom and knowledge that we can bring back to our original art form. And I found that as I began to rekindle that fire, those other experiences brought a lot of wisdom, a lot of maturity, mainly learning from working out with the earth that you can't really force gardening. You can't force the plants to grow. You can set the conditions to be as optimal as possible, and then essentially you're on the ride. So very much sharing that philosophy here, to recognize where you're at on the chessboard of your life, to learn to use these concepts and these perspectives to make better moves. Rather than trying to rush or force or push, you can begin to see exactly when to move next, how to utilize your energy, who to surround yourself with, and what circles to continue to grow into. The last I would share with you is continue to bring those wisdoms and those lessons home into your art and share it with the world, not only for yourself, but for others. And as you grow, always know that everything is inside of you. You'll learn all these different aspects of life, all these different concepts and terminologies and perspectives. But even again tonight, it's that reminder that take everything with a grain of salt, see what resonates with you, continue to open up, expand, explore. And again, I hope some of these words have helped some of you. Take care.